Good afternoon everyone. Welcome to TSAT channel. I am Dr. Prashanti, working as a lecturer in TSWREIS LB Nagar. Dear students, before we start a topic of discussion, I'd like you all to move down to your memory lane and enter into your good old school days and peep into your English classroom. What do you observe? I observe my English teacher teaching lots of grammar, little bit of poetry and many prose lessons and giving us comprehension questions as homework. But when we observe our recent years of English education, we started concentrating on skill-based language learning. We started learning the basic skills like listening, speaking, reading, writing along with vocabulary and grammar, and advanced skills like note-taking, note-making and reference skills. And today we are going to talk about the sub-skill of speaking, which is the pronunciation. Today, and this topic of pronunciation is a neglected area in teaching learning process. And students, if you ask me this question of is pronunciation that important while learning a language, then I'd say big yes, because pronunciation is an integral part of your communicative competence. And the first thing people observe while you communicate is your pronunciation. Since English has become the working tongue of the global village, you need to communicate with both native and non-native speakers of English alike. And if you don't have that confidence of knowledge of sound patterns of the target language, you can neither decode a message from the speaker nor will you be able to encode a message from the listener. Moreover, English is not a phonetic language. What do we mean by that? It means that there is no one-to-one relationship between the sound and spelling in English language. Let us take the example of the sound sh, which is manifested in 14 different ways in 14 different words. The sound sh is spelled as sh in shoe, ce in ocean, su in sugar, se in nauseous, ss in issue, sci in conscious, psh in shaw, si in mansion, ch in chaperone, ssi in mission, sch in schist, ti in nation, si in fuchsia and ci in suspicion. Students, we have seen the importance of pronunciation in our communication. Now let us go through the different aspects of sound system of English language. So these features include both segmental as well as suprasegmental features. In order to be intelligible speaker of English, you need to know all these features of sound system of English language. These segmental features include the consonant sounds and the vowel sounds, and it operates at the sound level. And suprasegmental features include the word stress, intonation and rhythm of the language, and these operate at the word level, the sentence level and the meaning level. So let us now move on to the consonants. And when we see here in English orthography, we see that there are 26 alphabets in orthography, but here we have 44 sounds in English language. We have, as we see on the slide, we have 24 consonant sounds as compared to only 21 sounds in English orthography, and we have 20 vowel sounds as compared to only 5 vowels in English orthography. That is, these 5 vowels are A, E, I, O, U. Now let us move on to the consonants. This is the list of 24 consonants in the sound system, and these consonants are classified based on 3 terms, and these 3 terms are the manner of articulation, the whether they are voiced or not, and the place of articulation. Since we have only the manner of articulation in our syllabus, we will be dealing with that. And here the manner of articulation deals with the airstream mechanism. That means how the air is pumped out through the lungs, whether it travels through oral cavity or the nasal cavity, and how it is produced. Now, when we see these sounds, p, b, t, d, k, g sounds, these are called plosive sounds. That means when these sounds are articulated, you know, the sound comes out with explosion. That is, the sound from the lungs travels through the oral cavity and it is obstructed at the articulators, and then it comes out when the articulators move apart, it comes out through explosion. Hence they are called plosives. And when we come to the sounds like f, v, th, d, s, z, sh, j and h, they are called fricatives. These are called fricative sounds because the articulators here are at close approximation with each other, and when the air travels through the articulators, it comes out through audible friction. Hence these are called fricatives. And when we come to the sounds ch and j, the articulators slowly release the sound with friction. Hence these are called affricates. And when we come to the sounds m, n, these are called nasals because the sound which comes out from the lungs enters through the nasal cavity and not through the oral cavity, since the soft palate is lowered, closing the oral cavity. Hence these are called the nasals. And l sound is called lateral because the sounds come out through the sides of the mouth, and hence they are called laterals. And the sound r is called frictionless approximant. It is called frictionless approximant because here the articulators are far apart and the sound flows freely from the mouth without any friction. And when you take the sounds v and y, these are called semi-vowels. These are called semi-vowels because here also the articulators are far apart and the air comes out without any friction. And now students, you have to be very careful when you articulate the sound v and v, because you know in Telugu or Indian languages we have only one v, that is or, right. We don't differentiate between this v, right. So, but here as we have discussed, this v is a fricative, right, because it is fricative and the sounds comes out with friction. That is, the articulators involved here are, it is labiodental fricative, that is lower lip and upper teeth are involved, hence it is called labiodental fricative. And here it is a semi-vowel, that is when you articulate this sound, the sound comes out freely without any friction. So it is v and v. Here the sounds are, like the lips are, you know, rounded, and if you want to read these words, you have to definitely make a difference because you have to say it as west and this one as west with your rounding of your lips. And when you say woman, you have to say woman and not woman, right? And let us see, students, a situation where when a person doesn't articulate and show a difference between v and v sounds, what happens? There's a person who goes to a restaurant and he orders for a burger, veg burger, and the other person, a sales boy, he asks him whether to warm it and give. He articulates this v and he says vomit. And the other person, he doesn't understand, then he realizes and he says, oh please vomit and give, W-A-R-M. See students, it is not only with the native speakers of English, but you have to be very careful with non-native speakers of English also, because you know when you don't differentiate between s and z sounds, or many sounds, like let us take an instance where a woman doesn't differentiate between the sounds s and z. So what happens? She is talking to her neighbor about her son. So she is saying, see, my son has got a prize. Prize instead of prize. What does that mean? Prize is bahumati. Prize is vela. Ante ma abbayiki vela undi. Ma abbayiki bahumati ochindi kaadu. So students, be very careful while articulating the sounds any sound for that matter. And let us go to the comprehensive list of the vowel sounds. And as we have discussed that there are like 20 vowel sounds as compared to only 5 vowels, that is A, E, I, O, U. And among those 12 vowels are monophthongs, and the remaining 8 vowels are called diphthongs or vowel glides. And students, I want to list all the vowels because you know there are certain vowels here in the list which are not present in your mother tongue. So students, please consciously listen to these sounds and recognize these sounds, and you have to articulate it correctly. So let us see the list of these sounds. These sounds are E as in feel, E as in fill, A as in set, A as in sat, U as in pool, U as in put, O as in caught, O as in pot, A as in car, as in bird, A as in cut, as in ago, A as in play, I as in fly, Oi as in boil, Ow as in now, O as in go, Ear as in fear, Aya as in fair, and Ooer as in poor. Students, please let us see if you don't recognize and articulate wrong vowels instead of the right ones, there is always a problem of intelligibility. Let's say a situation where a person doesn't recognize the sounds A and A because they are not present in his mother tongue. So he says to his friend, see, there are snakes in the hole, let us go and have them. And his friend doesn't understand, and then he realizes, oh, are there snacks in the hall? Come on, let us go and have them. So if you don't recognize those sounds in your mother tongue, then you tend to replace the sounds which are approximately similar to the sounds which are there in your mother tongue. So now students, we have completed the first part, that is segmental features of the sound system of English language which operate at the sound level. Now let us go to the suprasegmental features, and the first part is the word stress. And now students, I want you to read these words. I know that you have read these words as dynamic, academy, academic, but now I would say that these words are pronounced as dynamic, academy, and academic. And now what is word stress? Students, as we all know that words are made up of syllables, and not every syllable in a word is prominent. One syllable in a word is more prominent than the remaining syllables in the word. So let us take few more examples. Like in the 3-syllable word telephone, the first syllable is more prominent, that is telephone. In 5-syllable word pronunciation, the penultimate syllable is more prominent, that is pronunciation. And in the 3-syllable word mountaineer, the last syllable is more prominent. And you must ask me, how do we know which syllable to stress? And for that we have rules. So words with weak prefixes are accented on the root. So it's arise, below, compose, reduce. Words with 2 syllables beginning with the prefix dis are stressed on the last syllable, that is disarm, discern, disclose, disguise. With syllables ending with tion, the stress is on the penultimate shell. Application, examination, suggestion. And now students, what is penultimate shell? And when you have 5 syllables, the last syllable is called the ultimate shell, the preceding one is called penultimate, and the preceding one is called anti-penultimate shell. So now when the word ends with the sound tion, then the syllable preceding tion is stressed. And now the words ending with suffix ee, eer, and air are stressed on the the syllable itself, that is payee, addressee, employee, absentee. And engineer, volunteer, career, mountaineer. millionaire and questionnaire. And let us see accent in the compound words. We all know that the compound words are made up of either 2 elements or three elements. So usually the compound words take stress, primary stress on the first element, that is like blacksmith, dining room, tea party. And compound words which have stress on the second element, that is this compound words which end with ever or self, they take stress on the second element, that is however, whenever, himself and herself. And there's also a shift in the stress when you start adding syllables to the word, that is like it's like academy, academic, academician, photograph, photographer, photographic, politics, political, politician. And now students, this is my favorite part of the word stress. Here we have, in English, we have 42 syllable words which, when there is a shift in the stress from the first syllable to the second syllable, the grammatical function of the word changes from noun to either verb or adjective. So a word can be present or present, object or object, project or project. So let us see let's contextualize this. So it was a time to present the present to his girlfriend. I did not object to the object thrown at me. He is projecting his project. Let us see few more words. Is it address or address? Do you know Rohan's address? You do not have the permission to address the crowd. Conduct or conduct. We are happy about your general conduct. I am asked to conduct the meeting. And is it desert or desert? The army marched through the desert. I would not advise you to desert the army. Subject, subject. What is the subject of this today's lesson? Our teacher is going to subject us to another test. Is it content or content? The content of my presentation is good. He seemed more content, less bitter. What is the difference between content and content? Content is the subject matter and content is satisfaction. Students, be very careful while using this word, right? And now students, we have completed the first part of the suprasegmental features of the sound system of English language, that is word stress, which operates at the word level. Now let us move on to the second part of the sound system, that is, sentence stress, or it is called intonation. Students, for us to speak well in a connected speech, you have to use a right tone. It is not only the tone that is important, but you have to divide your utterance into tone groups, and you have to locate nucleus or the tonic syllable in the tone group. So let us see what tone group and nucleus is. When you speak in a connected speech, you don't speak in terms of isolated words, but you speak in terms of group of words. When you speak in terms of group of words, then you may take a pause or you may not take a pause. And when you see these utterances, like smaller utterances like yes, no, thank you, then you need not take a break. But when you see smaller sentences like how do you like it, I'm leaving tomorrow morning, also are smaller sentences where you need not take a break. But when you see a longer sentence like I went to see the doctor, but he wasn't there. This is a longer sentence, so you need to take a break in order to take your breath. Hence, these are called tone groups are also, and or they're also called breath groups. And you must be very careful when you divide a sentence into tone groups, so that the sense of the sentence is not lost, hence they are also called sense groups. And where to divide an utterance into tone groups, you can have a small clue by seeing a punctuation. Like when you have a comma, semicolon or colon, gives you a small clue of where to divide the sentence into tone groups. But this may not be of sure guidance. And what is a nucleus? Nucleus is the initiation of the change of pitch in a certain word in an utterance. To tell you very in a simple language, it is the emphasis on a specific word, and it depends on the intended meaning of the speaker. And when you change the nucleus of the word from one word to another word in a sentence, then the meaning of the sentence also changes. Let us take the example here. I am leaving for Mumbai tomorrow morning means I am leaving for Mumbai tomorrow and not today. I am leaving for Mumbai tomorrow morning means I am leaving for Mumbai and not to Delhi. And if I say I am leaving for Mumbai tomorrow morning, that means I am leaving and I am not staying back. So we have seen the tone groups and the nucleus here, and as we have already discussed that in order to speak well in a connected speech, you have to use a right tone. That means here we will be discussing about three types of tone. One is a rising tone, one is a falling tone, and the other one is fall rise. Let us start with the rising tone here. Rising tone is used while enumerating or listing, like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And rising tone is also used in incomplete sentences, like it's 7 o'clock, and when you use a rising tone, people will wait for you to complete the sentence, that is, and she hasn't come yet. And rising tone is also used in polite requests like come in, sit down. And when this falling tone is used in this utterance, it becomes an instruction or a command. That means come in, sit down. So that's an instruction or a command. And rising tone is also used in question tags. When you use a rising tone in a tag question like this, it was a good film, wasn't it? Then you are giving the freedom to the listener to either agree or disagree with you. But when you use a falling tone, you are asking him to agree with you, like it was a good film, wasn't it? With a falling tone. And rising tone is also used for polarity type of questions like are they coming? And non-polarity type of questions like how is your daughter? And alternate questions like do you like tea, coffee or Coke? And let us now see the falling tone. Here, students, falling tone is used in ordinary statements without any implications. That is, I liked it very much. And question beginning with question words like what, how, where. What's the matter? And exclamations like splendid, how extraordinary. Right. Now let us go to the third part, that is the intonation. That is the fall rise. So, fall rise is used for special implications not verbally expressed. If you say she is beautiful, that means she is beautiful but not intelligent. And the houses are nice, that means the houses are nice but perhaps the people are not. And for correcting someone or for warning, you use fall rise. So, when you say 46, that means it's 46 and not 45. And when you say you used to like him, that means you no more like him. And for warning also we use fall rise, that is like please be careful, you'll be late. And this is the end of the second part of the sound system of English language, that's intonation, which operate at the sentence level. Now let us go to another interesting part of the sound system of English language, which operates at the meaning level, and that's the rhythm of the language. And students, have you ever wondered why on earth certain words are contracted or weakened while we read or write? For example, like when I say I cannot, it is used as I can't, did not, didn't, I would, I'd. So let us see why it is like that. I would like to take a sentence like this is the house that Jack built. So students, when you take sentence, not all the words in the sentence are equally prominent. Those words which contribute to the meaning of the sentence are very important. So the words like this house Jack built are called content words. That is, the words like nouns, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs are called content words, and these give meaning to the sentence, and these words are stressed. And when you take the words like articles, pronouns, auxiliary words and conjunctions, these not contribute to the meaning of the word, and then they are contracted and they are said at a greater pace. And hence here when you see this sentence, this house Jack built, are stressed, and the other words is, the, that are contracted. And students, English is said to have stress time rhythmic language. That is, these stresses come at equal intervals of time. Then when you have to listen to the rhythm of English, like this is the house that Jack built, right? So let us see a few words where there is a contraction. These words are contracted, and this is the list of the words which is contracted. You can see on the slide. So the articles like a can be uttered as a girl or a girl. An can be uttered as an apple or an apple. The orange or the orange, right? The orange and the pen. And students, where do you use the and where do you use the? The is used before vowel sound and the is used before consonant sound. It's like the orange and the pen. And when you see pronouns like you, so why don't you come or why don't you come? Give me a book or give me a book. And when you take words like would and must, it's like she'd be there or she would be there. I must go or I must go. Bread and butter or bread and butter. So, students, now we have seen different aspects of sound system of English language so as to become intelligible speakers of English. We have seen the the sounds at segmental features and suprasegmental features. Before we wind up, students, I would like to give you a small assignment. Students, I would like you to work on 5 questions. These 5 questions are: how many native Englishes are present? Name few non-native Englishes. Is it essential for the speakers of English to sound like native speakers? Find out sounds of English which are not present in your mother tongue. Watch a small video, preferably of British accent. Observe the rhythm, word stress, intonation of the language, and write down a brief note about the language based on your understanding of your study today. We have seen the importance of pronunciation in our day-to-day communication, and we have also seen different aspects of the sound system of English language which work at the sound level, word level, sentence level, and the meaning level, that is connected speech features. And now students, as learners of English, I want you all to be the researchers and also observers of English. And if you are interested in this part of English, that is both knowing the language, knowing about the language, and also learning the language, you can take up subjects like linguistics in your post-graduation, and you can specialize in forensic linguistics, sociolinguistics, psycholinguistics, articulatory phonetics, and many more. So students, hope you all have understood today's topic, and let's wind up for now. Have a good day. Thank you.